When does this AI bubble pop?
So listen, the chart, gives me a little bit of reason to be cautious. The only thing that I would dispute about that chart is that I think the times are very different. This story is not the dot-com story, right? This AI zone that we're in is not what it was in late 99, early 2000, when anyone who put a .com at the end of the name suddenly had crazy valuations. That's not the story. So while I'm a little bit concerned that valuations are stretched, and I think in some names they are, and I think we saw that over the last couple of weeks when we saw money rotate out of tech into other sectors, I'm not in the camp that I think that this is a bubble that's going to burst the same way it did in 99 and 2000, because these are real companies with real products, with real revenues, which is very different than what it was in 99, 2000 with the dot-com, bubble and burst. And so therefore, I think it's different. I think it's changing the world. It's the fourth industrial tech revolution that's happening. And I think we're still very much in early stages. So I'm not in the camp that I'm worried about it exploding or imploding. But I do think you have to be cautious as an investor, not to get caught up in the emotion of it, and make sure you stick to your discipline.
Kenny, to that point, we've seen the investors rotate out in the quarter that just completed out of the Mag 7. Now they're the Lag 7. They've rotated into Micron, Sandisk, Broadcom, you name it. Does that trade still intact, or do you get value hunters going back into the Mag 7 ahead of earnings season in a few weeks?
So I think you're going to, and I said I've been writing about this in my note in the last couple of days, going into the end of the quarter as we saw that rotation. And I think you started to see some of that going back in yesterday. You saw what happened to the Mag 7. It was up, substantially yesterday. And so I think some of those names are down 10, 15, 18%. And so they create opportunities. They were either kissing or into the oversold territory on their RSI scales. And that then creates opportunity once again for institutional money will start to look at it. Retail investors will start to look at it. And so I think as we enter now this new quarter in the second half of the year, that there will be some bargain hunting and some shopping in those names. Because again, I am pro and bullish on AI and some of those names, and some of the ones that got dislocated. Look at a name like Microsoft trading at 360. Right? Nvidia's off its highs. Those are names that I think are going to continue to power this move higher, and that's where I think it creates opportunity. And look, to your point, you're showing it right now. Microsoft in the pre-market is up $7 or almost 2%.
Jim, I think Kenny makes a good point. Unlike the dot-com bubble, these are real companies. It's Microsoft, it's Micron. They do real things. They churn out a lot of cash flow, even though they're investing aggressively in CapEx. What has the economic impact been of these AI rollouts? I think we're going to get a taste of this in the jobs report when it comes out. A lot of jobs being created, of course, on various infrastructure sites. But how have you seen this?
So, first of all, at the top, Kenny, you're not bullish enough on AI. I am. This is the biggest. This is the biggest technology of the last century. It is way bigger than the internet. It is way bigger 100%. Than the PC. It will end in a bubble, but that bubble might be years down the road.
This month, Nvidia's market capitalization fell below $5 trillion, and in just 30 days, the stock has lost around 1/10 of its worth. The AI bellwether is breathing after a parabolic spring. That breath is interpreted by our model as a purchase opportunity. With a $4.663 trillion market capitalization, Nvidia's stock is currently trading at $192.53. Our Wall Street price prediction for Nvidia is $245.91, which suggests a 27.73% increase over the following 12 months. Buy is advised, with a 90% confidence level. Nvidia is up 3.36% year-to-date and 24.36% over the previous year, but it is down 8.62% over the last week and 9.34% over the previous month. With a 52-week low of $151.29, shares are around 27% below their 52-week high of $236.26. While Nvidia's fundamentals are unchanged, the recent rotation is a result of the SK Hynix HBM slowing narrative and wider AI chip profit-taking. On May 20th, 2026, the Q1 FY27 report revealed sales of $81.61 billion, up 85.23% year over year. The non-GAAP EPS of $1.87, above the consensus by 5.42%. Networking increased by 199%. Data center revenue reached $75.25 billion, buy side 92% EOY, and Q2 projection was $91 billion. The management increased the quarterly dividend to $0.25 and authorized a $80 billion buyback. In the bull case, Nvidia would reach $259.20 by June 2027, a 34.63% return if demand exceeds supply. With partners committed to multi-gigawatt deployments, including 10 GWh with OpenAI, 1 GWh with Anthropic, and 5 GWh with CoreWeave by 2030, CEO Jensen Huang characterizes the AI factory build-out as the largest infrastructure expansion in human history. The $119 billion total supply commitments indicate that management believes the order book is solidifying. With 58 buy recommendations compared to 2 holds and 1 sell, the average sell-side target is 298.93. What might go wrong? Over a 12-month period, the bear scenario pushes Nvidia to 212.99, which is still a good 10.62% return. Risks include execution risk on the $119 billion supply commitment if hyperscaler expenditure slows, competitive pressure from Amazon Trainium and open-source models trained on Huawei Silicon, and China data center compute revenue, which is currently projected at 0 in the guidance. In 9 recent transactions, insiders have been net sellers. While the corporation approved a $80 billion buyback, a bigger institutional signal, the sales are standard 10b5-1 dispositions. Why the dip is appealing. With 90% confidence and a buy rating, the Wall Street price objective of 245.91 months represents an increase of 27.73%. The scale is tipped by the combination of 85% revenue growth and forward projection that suggests acceleration into Q2. Investors that can withstand a beta of 2.2 and the China overhang will benefit from this scenario. For those who think that hyperscaler capital expenditures will peak in 2026, the multiple has little room for disappointment, which undermines the argument. If present growth patterns continue, here is where our model suggests Nvidia might trade. These estimates are predicated on Nvidia carrying out its Vera Rubin and Blackwell roadmap. While a reset in hyperscaler spending would reduce multiples, restored access to China might result in huge upside. Shares of Nvidia simply can't seem to take off for whatever reason. However, Nvidia is performing admirably for a Mag 7 stock. However, it has been difficult for a semiconductor company to hold on to its stock when the industry as a whole has grown by more triple-digit percentage points this year. In fact, it's possible that the current AI chip bubble is more due to a correction to the upside as investors perceive the names as structural rather than cyclical climbers this time. In the tumultuous world of semiconductor names, Nvidia might be the last excellent deal given the quick returns from the picks and shovels deals. At least when it comes to high-end AI at the absolute frontier, the $4.8 trillion GPU titan is positioned to continue selling its latest and greatest as businesses everywhere seek to scale up or risk losing ground to a competitor in a race where only the gold medal leads to that enormous payout. For those next-generation data centers, expanding up and acquiring as many GPUs as feasible is obviously insufficient. Further study and a shift from large language models, LLMs, to world models and mixture of experts, MOE, architectures may be the best route to superintelligence or artificial general intelligence, AGI, for state-of-the-art AI labs. Regardless, Anthropic's Claude Mythos model has undoubtedly been the biggest AI story of the year. The so-called SaaS-pocalypse, which hasn't yet recovered, was made worse by it. In terms of cybersecurity applications, China is said to have lately matched the strong model. Anthropic's dominance was undoubtedly short-lived. The trillion-dollar issue is whether or not this is another DeepSeek moment. In any case, Jipu's GLM 5.2 model is incredibly potent. The most remarkable thing is that it costs a lot less to operate than something like a Claude Mythos. It's possible that the renowned Jensen Huang was entirely correct when he said that China is only nanoseconds behind the AI race. There are still concerns about what the AI race will look like now that China has a potent model that can hunt bugs just as effectively as Mythos. Maybe Jensen Huang was correct when he suggested that America should aim to dominate the hardware stack. After that, it might be time to consider the scenario in which Nvidia sells more chips, possibly even more than the H200, to the Chinese market. It's obvious that America may be losing its hold on the Chinese market as Huawei gains traction with AI chips. China's silicon floats the market, making it difficult to gain traction when Huawei's CUDA-like environment is taken into account. As of right present, it seems that Nvidia chips sold in China are not at all priced. Perhaps collaborating is the best course of action to lessen the possible risks associated with AI at the frontier. Who knows? A grand bargain in which China transfers DRAM while purchasing additional Nvidia GPUs might be very advantageous to both parties, easing the burden of the AI build-out while reducing the dangers related to the technology itself. Even though Huawei is currently operating at full capacity, I predict that Nvidia will stay ahead almost all the way. That's America's biggest negotiating chip, and if a deal can be worked out, it might be used. The strategy may be to weaken Huawei's monopoly while maintaining China's reliance on American technology, made more expensive by tariffs, which is purposefully a step behind the newest and finest. I don't know about you, but I believe Nvidia is correct once more regarding the advantages of exporting its technology to China. However, it's still unclear if sales in China would ever have a significant impact on Nvidia. Recent publications on AI semiconductors from Broadcom and Nvidia show quite distinct business models but comparable trends. On May 20th, 2026, Nvidia concluded Q1 FY 2027, while on June 3rd, 2026, Broadcom concluded Q2 FY 2026. Everyone can purchase branded GPUs from one. For a few hyperscalers, the other creates custom silicon. With AI semiconductor revenue reaching $10.80 billion, down 143% YOY, Broadcom reported $22.187 billion in revenue, up 47.9% YOY. Hock Tan led Q3 AI semis to $16 billion, a triple-digit increase, and ascribed the outcome to increasing demand for custom AI accelerators and AI networking. With a stable subscription base, the infrastructure software segment, led by VMware, added $7.178 billion at a 9% growth rate. Nvidia works on a very other scale. Networking products tripled to $14.8 billion, while data center revenue alone hit $75.246 billion, up 92% year over year. Jensen Huang cited Blackwell ultra-scaling at full speed and called the AI build-out the biggest infrastructure increase in human history. Without accounting for any China data center calculations, Q2 guidance came in at $91 billion. Broadcom gains from being essential to certain clients. Tan can achieve his stated objective of surpassing $100 billion in AI sales by 2027 by working with Google, Meta, and other companies to design custom ASICs. In that concept, concentration risk is exchanged for volume risk. The math quickly becomes nasty if you lose one mega customer. Nvidia's strategy appears more comprehensive. Huang termed the business the only platform that runs in every cloud, powers every frontier and open source model, and scales everywhere AI is produced. The moat is kept wide by the Vera Rubin platform, Spectrum X networking, and an expanding partner list that includes Google Cloud, Anthropic, Meta, and Marvel. The cost, data center compute revenue from China, has essentially disappeared, and supply-related commitments now amount to $119.0 billion, a significant financial risk. Valuation has a narrative of its own. Broadcom is trading at 32 future and 61 trailing earnings. With a much larger profit base, Nvidia is currently 30 trailing and 22 ahead. I'll be keeping an eye on whether more than 2 or 3 hyperscalers contribute to Broadcom's Q3 AI ramp to $16 billion. The concern for Nvidia is whether the introduction of Vera Rubin and Blackwell Ultra can close the China gap while maintaining 75% gross margins. The AI trade is obviously fading, with Broadcom down 16.5% and Nvidia down 7.55% during the previous month. The next data point worth keeping an eye on for both names is the hyperscaler CapEx statement in July. With a software moat that continues to build and a forward multiple that appears acceptable in light of 85.2% revenue growth, Nvidia leads on size. The profile of Broadcom appears to be more complementary. Tan's execution has been flawless for 8 straight quarters of EPS beats, and the custom ASIC story is real, but the concentration risk and larger multiple are worth considering. Broadcom's $0.65 quarterly dividend is particularly appealing to income-oriented investors. This summer's hyperscaler CapEx discussion will be crucial to both names' success.